On October 18, 2021, a man drove to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. He was 41 years old. The day was mild, the autumn air crisp and clear. He planned a short hike on a trail that looped for 2.8 miles. It was a popular route, rated as moderate by those who walked it often. There were no active weather warnings. The sky was a brilliant, cloudless blue. The conditions seemed perfect for an afternoon walk in the woods. He was alone. He parked his car at the trailhead, a common starting point for many hikers that day, and set off on his walk into the forest, expecting to be back in a couple of hours. He began his hike at precisely 1:05 in the afternoon. The trailhead was clearly marked, the path worn and easy to follow. Later, investigators would piece together a partial timeline from other hikers who were on the same trail that afternoon. At 2:47 in the afternoon, another hiker recalled seeing him. This sighting occurred near a critical fork in the path. One direction continued along the main, well-trodden loop that led back toward the parking area. The other trail was narrower, less defined, and partially obscured by a thick carpet of fallen autumn leaves. It was a game trail, perhaps, or an old, forgotten spur. No one could say for certain which path the man chose to take. At 3:12 in the afternoon, his brother received a text message. The message was short and simple. It contained only 2 words: "Almost back." This was the last communication anyone ever received from him. It suggested he believed he was near the end of his hike, close to his car and on his way home. The timeline of that afternoon is sparse, built from a few key facts. The man arrived at the trailhead and started his hike at 1:05 in the afternoon. This was confirmed by trailhead logs and, later, by investigators examining the general flow of visitors. For the next hour and 42 minutes, his journey is undocumented. He walked alone, unseen along a path that wound through the dense Appalachian forest. The trail itself was not considered dangerous. It climbed gently. It descended gently, following the contours of the land. Other people were hiking that day, but their paths did not cross his in any memorable way during this initial period. The forest simply swallowed him, as it does countless hikers every day. The first and only confirmed sighting occurred at 2:47 in the afternoon. A fellow hiker on their way back to the parking lot passed him near a junction. They exchanged a brief, casual greeting. The hiker later described him as looking calm, well-equipped for a day hike. He carried a small backpack and appeared to be in good spirits. This encounter placed him at a specific geographical point, a fork in the trail. This location became the last known point, or LKP, for the search teams. It was the last place anyone could definitively say they saw him. From this point, 2 paths diverged, and his choice remains a mystery. 25 minutes later, at 3:12 in the afternoon, he sent the text message to his brother, "Almost back." This piece of data provided a crucial, if misleading, clue. It suggested he was not only safe, but also oriented. The response was swift and professional. Early the next morning, sun rising over the misty Smokies, search and rescue operations were underway. The initial deployment was significant. More than 55 people converged on the trailhead. The group was a coalition of agencies and volunteers, all trained in wilderness SAR. Park rangers, local county SAR teams, volunteer ground searchers, specialized K-9 units with tracking and air scent dogs. The mission was clear: find the missing hiker. An incident command post was set up near the parking lot where the car was found. The ICP served as the nerve center. Maps were laid out. Strategies were discussed. Teams were assigned specific sectors. The search began at the last known point, the fork in the trail. The search area radiated outward, a growing circle of probability. The first teams focused on the most likely scenarios. They scoured the main trail, checking every foot between the fork and the parking lot, looking for a sign of a fall, looking for an injury, looking for any item he might have dropped. The search expanded beyond the marked trail. Ground pounders, moving in tight formations, pushed into the woods. They conducted systematic grid searches to ensure coverage. In dense terrain, searchers were often 10 to 20 feet apart, moving slowly and deliberately. Eyes scanning the ground. Eyes scanning the underbrush. Eyes scanning the tree canopy. They prioritized high-probability areas, drainages, creek beds, ravines, places someone might seek water or fall and be unable to get up. Aerial support was called in. A helicopter with thermal imaging began flying patterns. Thermal cameras detect heat signatures to locate people, even under vegetation. But the dense Appalachian canopy presented a major challenge. Thick leaves and branches could mask heat signatures. The Appalachian forest, a labyrinth of green and brown. To understand why a person can disappear so completely, one must first understand the environment itself. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park is part of the vast Appalachian Range, an ancient and complex landscape. The forest here is not a simple collection of trees. It is a dense, multi-layered ecosystem. A high canopy of mature hardwoods blocks out the sun, creating a dim, filtered light on the forest floor. Beneath this canopy, a thick understory of shrubs, rhododendron, and mountain laurel. This creates a wall of green, severely limiting visibility. In many places, a person standing just 50 feet away can be completely hidden from view. The terrain is a character in this story. The mountains are characterized by a confusing network of steep ridges and deep, V-shaped valleys, hollers. A hiker who steps off a trail can find themselves on a gradual slope that slowly but surely leads them away from their intended path. These slopes often funnel down into drainage systems and creek beds, which can seem like natural pathways. A disoriented person might follow one, believing it will lead them to safety, only to find themselves deeper in the wilderness. The sameness of the scenery is disorienting. One ridge looks much like the next. Sound behaves in strange and unpredictable ways in this environment. A person calling for help might find their voice swallowed by the trees, their cries traveling only a short distance before fading away. The wind, which can be calm in one valley and gusting on the next ridge, further complicates the auditory landscape. A searcher could be just over a rise from a missing person, yet neither would be able to hear the other. Perhaps the most significant factor in this case was the time of year. In autumn, the deciduous trees drop their leaves, carpeting the forest floor in a thick, rustling blanket. It conceals the ground, hiding footprints. It hides trip hazards like roots and rocks. For searchers, it means that any sign of passage is ephemeral. In most investigations, physical evidence tells a story. In a missing person case in the wilderness, the evidence is often more subtle. A footprint, a broken branch, a scrap of fabric torn from a jacket. The profound difficulty in the 2021 disappearance was the almost complete absence of such evidence. The environment itself is an active agent in the destruction of evidence. Evidence in the wilderness is ephemeral. It does not wait patiently to be discovered. A parallel disappearance, the 2018 case. This was not the first time the Appalachian woods had claimed someone so completely. To understand the perplexing nature of this case, it helps to look at a similar incident. It occurred in 2018 in another part of the same mountain range. A middle-aged hiker, experienced, well-prepared for a day trip, vanished under eerily similar circumstances. He was on a well-marked trail, less than 3 miles from a parking area. The weather that day was clear and stable, no storms, no adverse conditions. He was last seen by other hikers in the early afternoon. When he failed to return by evening, his family reported him missing. The search and rescue response was swift and comprehensive. More than 60 searchers, professional SAR units, K9 teams, were deployed within hours. They set up a command post, began a systematic grid search, starting from the hiker's last known point. Tracking dogs were brought in. They picked up an initial scent, but lost it within a quarter mile of the trail. The dogs became confused, unable to pinpoint a clear direction, suggesting the scent had been scattered or had simply vanished. Helicopters with infrared cameras scanned the canopy, but found no confirmed heat signatures. Ground teams combed the area, searching ravines, thickets, waterways. After 5 days of intensive effort, the search was officially scaled back. The teams had found nothing. No backpack, no discarded clothing, no boot prints leading away from the trail, no evidence of an accident. no sign of another person. The hiker had simply disappeared from a short, familiar trail in good weather. Modern search and rescue is a science guided by data and probability. The process begins with establishing the last known point, the fork in the trail. From this LKP, planners create a statistical profile of the missing individual: age, physical fitness, hiking experience, psychological state. Statistics show lost hikers are often found within a radius of the LKP. They frequently travel downhill, often follow drainages. Those high-probability zones are searched first and most intensively, but models rest on assumptions. If wrong, searches can be misdirected. If he had a medical emergency and stopped moving immediately, he might be much closer to the LKP than predicted, perhaps tucked into a thicket or crevice and overlooked. Conversely, if he consciously left the trail for unknown reasons, he might have traveled much farther in an unexpected direction outside the primary search area. Visual detection is low. Canopy can defeat thermal, and scent can be scattered or buried under dry leaves. The science gives the best chance of success, but it cannot guarantee it. This is File 002. The official search was eventually scaled back after days of fruitless effort. This does not mean it was called off entirely. The case remains open, cataloged as one of the handful of unsolved missing person cases. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The file sits in an office, waiting for new information. Investigators cannot search an entire national park indefinitely. They have reviewed the timeline, the search maps, the few facts, over and over. The conclusion is always the same. He walked into the woods and did not walk out. This unresolved ending forces families, investigators, the public to confront an uncomfortable truth. In certain environments, a person can simply vanish. Our modern world with GPS tracking, cell phones, constant connectivity creates an illusion of total visibility. A few square miles of dense forest can be more inscrutable than the deepest ocean. A small human error, a moment of inattention, a minor injury can remove someone from the grid entirely. The absence of answers does not imply the supernatural. Instead, it shows how efficiently nature can absorb and conceal. Soft fall into rhododendron, stumble into a leaf-filled depression, decision to rest in a secluded spot. Any of these could be the start of a tragedy. Once a person is down and out of sight, the forest reclaims the space. It's not that facts defy logic. The forest has hidden the facts from view. What can be learned from a story with no ending? The first lesson: stick to the facts. He started his hike at 1:05 p.m. He was seen at 2:47 p.m. He texted at 3:12 p.m. The search covered over 11 square miles in the first 72 hours. Second lesson: small environmental details can have monumental consequences. They can change a person's direction. They can obscure a path. They can lead someone into a situation from which they cannot recover. The wilderness demands respect and vigilance. A short, familiar hike is not a guarantee of safety. The file on the man who texted almost back remains open, a quiet but persistent reminder of the unknown. The case is unresolved, a question mark over a beautiful, unforgiving landscape.